Alright, good afternoon. So, we are about to check out a brand new game. Something I just found out about this week. It's been out for a little while. Uh, called Train Sim World. It's a brand new game to consoles coming out this week. Actually, just coming Tuesday. But it's been out on PC for, well, since sometime last year, actually. So, it's not a genre I've been into very much, but I watched another gamer play a very similar game, Railroad Simulator, and it seemed like something I felt like I could get into. So I kind of picked it up on impulse. So we're going to be checking that out today. All right, so I've kind of done a little bit of playing with this offline. Um, it comes with a set of basic tutorials that give you the basics of how a train operates and what to expect. So I've kind of been through them once. I feel like I'm starting to get a grasp on this. Like the stream title says, I'm pretty much a noob with these, but I have been experienced with a lot of other sims. I used to play a lot of flight sims, fighter pilot sims, fighter plane sims. Submarine sims is another genre I used to really get into. And, I mean, this type of game is probably not for everybody, but, it's something looking at, streams of it last week. Matter of fact, I think I was watching, what's his name? Long Live Quebec. And, he's a variety streamer. And he wasn't playing this in particular, but what he was playing was something called World of Subways. And it was the kind of thing like when he first started playing it, people on stream were kind of like busting on him a little bit. And I was like, dude, you actually like games like this? He says, I play a lot of this in my spare time, And again, this type of stuff's not for everybody. But by the time he was finished his stream with that, it turned out to be really compelling because he was doing a specific mission type that was, pretty exciting. So, without going into all the details of it, I mean, he kind of had, turned the audience. And while a lot of people didn't necessarily want to play it, everybody found it more exciting than you would think just from the title. But I'm one of those who did decide that I was going to try to play it. So I looked into that, actually picked that up on a Steam sale, and started looking into the genre a little more and found that this train sim world was kind of the new hotness, if you will. This is the latest thing in the genre. And again, this is going to be released. This has been on PC for a while. This is going to be released on PS4 and Xbox One this coming Tuesday. That will be July 24th. So as for right now, we got this on PC, so we're going to, even though I've been through this a little bit, we're going to start from scratch and kind of run through tutorials and just to kind of shake the rust off a little bit and then jump into some of the basic mission types. So let's see how that goes.
Welcome to Train Sim World. We are delighted to offer you the position of Railroad Engineer on our Keystone subdivision. Your application was outstanding, and we are excited about what you will bring to the daily operations of Cumberland Terminal. We would like you to commence immediately, and will provide all required training at our Cumberland facility. Hand-eye coordination is critical to operating locomotives on a railroad. Look down at the ground, up at the sky, left, and right. There are many things that are not operated from a locomotive cab, so you'll be on your feet for a fair portion of the time. Stretch your legs for a few seconds to get warmed up. That's the physical portion of your training complete. Head over and climb aboard a locomotive. Open the cab door and proceed inside. To take control, you'll want the engineer's seat. Head over and sit down.
Alright, let's see if we can close this door first, though. Because one thing I have noticed playing this is that the ambient noise inside the cab here gets really, really loud if you don't close the doors and windows.
When sat in the engineer's seat of a locomotive, the driving heads-up display will appear in the bottom right corner. This HUD shows key information about the state of the locomotive while you are driving. The dials on the right display brake system pressures. Along the bottom are the direction, throttle, and brake type indicators. Finally, the exclamation mark on the left is the safety warning indicator, known as the alerter. This will illuminate when something requires your attention and must be acknowledged. Safety always comes first on the railroad. So to start with, we need to let those around us know this locomotive is operational. Begin by turning the forward headlights control to bright.
Alright, we could easily do this with a hotkey, but I kind of like the interactive elements in the dashboard.
There are three key controls to operating this locomotive: the reverser, brakes, and throttle. The reverser determines direction of travel. Put this into forward. To the left is the auto brake, which applies brakes along the entire length of the train. Let's move this to release.
Issue here. Doesn't seem like it wants to move. There we go.
We're about to move, so make 2 blasts of the horn to alert anyone around. Remember, safety first. Now add some power, but not too much. Too much power too soon can damage both the locomotive and the cars. Always start off nice and slowly. Increase the throttle lever by 1 notch.
Alright. So we can also see that all the control sets also have hotkey counterparts, but for right now, we're just going to use the direct controls. And we are moving. Ooh, moving pretty good too.
You're moving. Great work.
Yeah,
To maintain a
thanks.
constant speed, move the throttle back to its idle position.
Alright, we'll do that with the hotkey just to make sure that works good. Yep, yep.
While driving, you may wish to view the train from the outside. You can do this by switching to one of the many external cameras. Have a play with moving the camera around while the train is coasting along.
And I have to say, I'm definitely very impressed with the graphical fidelity on this sim. This is really quite nice looking. All the details, lots of detail.
That concludes the
Good
basic
sound
engineer
also.
training on this locomotive. So let's bring it to a stop. Move the auto brake to initial reduction. As with applying power, too much brake pressure applied too quickly can be detrimental to the train and its cargo.
Alright, so initial reduction is our first braking setting. Looks like we have multiple braking settings available. That's the first one. So we are slowing down. So mainly I'm looking at the HUD in the lower right corner here, but there's also speed indicated in actual functional controls. This dial here is our actual speed indicator in the cab. But just about all our critical controls are available in the HUD. Alright. And that looks like a stop. Alrighty. So that's not too bad. Very basic controls. Alright, let's continue. Play the next tutorial.
So you want to learn about yard switching? Let's take a look. Before a train goes anywhere, crews arrange all the cars together. Meticulous planning goes into making sure the right cars go to the right tracks to make up the right trains. This process is called switching.
Switching.
Climb aboard this locomotive and we'll get started.
Alright, so I have to admit, when I first tried this offline, I had to do this particular exercise 3 times before I got it right. And not that it's a particularly difficult exercise, it's just because I'm a knucklehead sometimes. And I'll explain why when we go back through it again.
Set the locomotive up and pull towards the cars ahead. Take it easy though. 5 miles an hour will do just fine.
So set reversal to forward. Set the automatic brake to release. apply the throttle to notch 1. Okay, so this is our reverser here. This is our throttle here. This is our automatic brake here. So let's do that first. So we're set to forward. Brake is on initial reduction. That's our first brake setting. We're going to set that to release. And now we can apply power via the throttle. There are multiple throttle stops here. We're going to setting 1. Alright. And we're rolling.
Gently bump into the cars up ahead. The couplers will engage automatically.
Yeah, the operative word here being gently. Yeah.
That's it. You got this.
Yeah, no, I don't got this.
Now,
Because that is
haul them
exactly
back
the same
beyond
problem
the
I
switch
had
in the track.
the first couple times I went through this. So the problem is, when I tried this the first time, I mean, when you're first doing this, regulating speed is the key to everything, and I didn't get that. And when you're trying to set up this coupling, I think in general you're trying to stay below like 5 miles an hour, and I was way above that. I was probably like 15 or more that time. And I think what happened is when you hit the coupler that fast, you take damage. But the simulator doesn't really tell you that you took damage. So the only way I kind of knew that was trying to exercise my next step, which is now I'm supposed to pull this train into reverse with the cars attached. And nothing worked. And that's because I think I hit it so hard I damaged the engine. But we'll see if that's our same problem here. And let's try it. So throttle's at idle. The brake is set to service. The reverser is currently in forward, so now we have to change the reverser back. We have to release the brake. Brake is in release. Throttle is in, reverser's in reverse. Now let's see if we can get any power out of the engine. And throttle setting 1. Alright, looks like we are moving. And what we're doing is we're looking to roll back to that checkpoint highlighted in blue there. It's about 55 yards away. But you can see we're moving really, really slow. And I think that's our first sign that I damaged the engine when I did that coupling at too high a speed. Let me add a little more power, see if I can get any acceleration out of this. Because I think right now the only reason we're rolling backwards is we're actually rolling downhill. You can kind of see on the heads-up display, there's a bubble on the upper left-hand corner. It says 0.02%. I think that's showing us that we're in a downhill grade of about 0.2%. And I think that's the only reason the train is moving backwards. I don't think it's because I'm applying power. And so, like I said, I kind of made this mistake offline before. You would think I would learn by now, but everything in this kind of sim is just an exercise in energy management and momentum, and I fail a lot, but I'm learning. So, yeah, this is not giving me any real power. I'm just rolling downhill, literally. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to brake. I'm going to reset the sim, reset the training mission, and I'm going to do it again. No, I don't want to restart the game. I want to redo that training exercise. Alright, so tutorials, yard switching. Let's try that again. Alright.
So, you want to learn about yard switching? Let's take a look. Before a train goes anywhere, crews arrange all the cars together. Meticulous planning goes into making sure the right cars go to the right tracks to make up the right trains. This process is called switching. Climb aboard this locomotive and we'll get started. Set the locomotive up and pull towards the cars ahead. Take it easy though. 5 miles an hour will do just fine.
5 miles an hour will certainly do fine if I can do 5 miles an hour. Now, it looks like they gave me a different trainer this time. I guess the other one was so embarrassed at me she had to quit. Alright, let's try this again. So set the reverser to forward. Set the automatic brake to release. Notch 1 on the throttle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on and then off. And
Gently
let
bump into the cars up ahead.
the momentum
couplers will
carry us
engage
forward rather than going in full throttle like I did last time. Give it a little more power, bump in. And it pays to use the hotkeys, or to learn the hotkeys for the main controls. Because it's hard to kind of look. Get a little more braking there. Alright. So we're well under 5 miles per hour now. Oh, I was still in initial braking, initial reduction there. Still too fast. Bring it down, that should be okay. And not quite there, another 17 yards, just a little hit of the throttle. Alright. Much gentler that time.
That's it. You got this.
I don't know if
Now,
I got this.
haul
but
them
I'm
back
trying.
beyond the switch in the track.
Alright, so basically I have to change the reverser. They didn't tell me to change the auto brake, but I'm gonna put it on initial reduction just for safety. Now I'm gonna change the reverser to neutral, then reverse, and release the brake again. And let's see how we're doing. A little more power now. Alright, so throttle off, back to idle. A little more speed this time. So I think this time we didn't completely break the engine, thank God. Because I'm sure I'd wash out of training if I did that again. And we're at a nice comfy 3.8 miles per hour, trying to stay under 5. Alright, we hit the first checkpoint. And another 110 yards. Still rolling backwards downhill. Mild grade, 0.2% downhill backwards. 4.4. Let me add a little braking just to try to keep our speed below 5 miles per hour. And brake off. Bump up with a little bit of power. Power off. A little more power. 60 yards. Trying to stay below 5 miles per hour, even though, well, our indicated speed limit here is that red mark on the HUD, on the dial, the arc there, that's telling me it looks like roughly 15 miles per hour is permitted, but I'm going to try to stay where we were, 5 miles per hour.
Okay, the train is clear. Bring it to a stop.
All right. Full stop. Initial reduction on braking.
To put these cars with the others on the adjacent track, a switch in the track must be changed. Climb down from the locomotive and walk to the switch.
Let me double check the controls here before I get out. So let's see, throttle is at idle. Reverser is still in reverse. It doesn't matter right now, we have no power applied. Automatic brake is at full service, so that's full braking. And I think it's safe for us to get out and walk around the train now without worrying about it rolling back and running us over. Now that's a switch here, but that's not the switch we want. Our switch is at that marker ahead. And we're going to run up there. You can run just by applying shift with any directional control.
Move the lever so the rails align to the other direction.
Alright. So right now, our track is set. Kind of looks like if we were to come back up the track, it would kind of turn us to the right. And if we switch, now we see the switch change direction.
Excellent. We're all set. Climb back aboard and push the cars down the track, connecting them with the others already there.
So now we'd be expecting to make kind of this left turn this way, as opposed to the right side that we just came up. All right, so let's go back and get back in the cab. Let's run back to the cab, because this is a pretty long set of cars. Alright, so now we're driving forward. So first, reverser back to forward. Set the brake back to release. And give it a little bit of power. And forward we go. I'm going to turn the power off because I'm trying to keep our speed down. Again, this is all pretty much momentum management. Let's give it a little bit more power. Keep our speed up a little bit. Alright, a little bit over 5 miles per hour. I think we're doing okay. 200 yards to our objective here. Give it a little bit more speed. I think our speed limit is high enough to, let's try for about 10 miles per hour. About 150 yards. Now 120. Alright, so it looks like we're going to couple this to another train. It looks like we're complete.
You're doing great. Keep it up.
Am I doing great?
Now to uncouple the locomotive from the cars,
Okay.
climb down and walk to the first freight car.
Alright, I feel like I was going a little too fast there, but he says I'm doing great, so I guess I did okay. Alright, so let me reset my brake. Make sure the throttle's off. It is. Reverser doesn't matter right now. And now he wants us to walk over to the first freight car, so let's head back out.
First off, Apply the brake wheel on the freight car so they are secured in place.
Alright. So this is the handbrake control. Wants us to set this to apply.
Pull the cut lever to disconnect the locomotive from the cars.
Alright, so I guess these are... Their brakes are on, so now all I have to do is release the coupler here.
And that's all there is to it. This process is repeated until all the cars required are assembled on the same track. To finish, climb back aboard the locomotive and move it up the track so it is ready to assemble more cars.
Alrighty. So now I have to put this back in reverse. So brake is still applied. Throttle's at idle. Let's change the reverser back to reverse and pull away from that car. Release the brake. Release the brake. Alright. And give it a little bit of throttle, a little bit of power. Turn that off. And away we go. Not sure how far we're going here. Stop. Okay, all I have to do is stop. Give it a little break. Initial reduction should be enough to bring us to a halt because we're not under power. Alright. Okay. Another training mission down. And I think we did a little better that second time. Obviously, we didn't break the sucker. Alright, let's move on to the next tutorial.
Let's take a look at how to use the turntable. It'll come in useful around Cumberland Yard. There are two key components: the table, which must be locked in place to use, and the control cabin where the table is operated from. Take a seat inside the control cabin and we'll get started. On the left is a monitor to view the action outside. In the middle is the rotation control. And on the right is the table lock control. Let's activate the desk by turning the monitor on and unlocking the table. Now we want to rotate the table to point towards the nearby locomotive. Click and drag the rotation control to move the table in the direction you need. Let go of the rotation control as the desired track nears the left side of the monitor.
Alright, so which way are we dragging this thing? This way? Nope, that looks like the wrong direction. I always find this control a little counterintuitive. I always feel like I should be pulling it in the opposite direction of the way I usually end up having to pull it. But let's see what happens. Alright. Alright, just a little further. That's not... Let me switch this camera. I think you can switch the camera. I believe you can, but... Yeah, because see, this camera's actually looking in the other direction. That doesn't really help me, because I'm trying to align with the track on that side. But anyway, let's just keep going, see what we got. Almost. Not quite. And that looks like the track we need. Oh, there we go.
Before we head over to the locomotive,
Now
be sure to lock the table again
nothing.
so that the turntable is safe to drive onto.
Alright. Lock there. And get out. I'm pretty impressed with the graphics in this. The presentation is terrific. I mean, it's just so much detail. Another pretty good frame rate. Lighting is good. Everything is good. This is it's very impressive graphically.
As you drive onto the turntable, take it very slowly so you don't overshoot. Going slowly also means that not much brake is required to stop.
Alright, well that's always the trick, isn't it? Making sure that I'm going slowly. Alright, let's see where we are. So, throttle is idle, reversal is currently in neutral, brake is set to initial reduction. So let's set the reverser to forward. Let's release our brake. And let's set to the throttle stop 1, get a little forward power. And we'll turn the throttle off again. Let our momentum carry us.
Once stopped, climb down from the locomotive and head back to the control cabin.
Alright. And a little brake. Yards, 8 yards. Let's apply some brake now. And we are stopped. Alright. See, throttle's in idle. Brake is at full service. Alright, let's get up, go back to the cabin. First, you know what, before I do that, I'm going to actually go out the back door and make sure that the ass end of my train is fully within the turntable. Yep. Okay, so we're looking good here. We're in good position. Alright. Alright, let's go back to the cabin here.
With the locomotive ready to be turned, activate the monitor and unlock the table. Using the rotation control, turn the table and locomotive to the indicated track.
Alright. So let's see. This direction? Oh, wrong direction again. I don't know, for some reason I just find that control counterintuitive. Let's try the other way. Let's use the hotkeys this time too, so we can kind of see what we're looking at as we rotate. right on target
Lock the
that time.
turntable in place before you leave, then climb back aboard the locomotive and run it to the designated marker.
Alright, we're definitely locked, so we're okay there. Alright, so I guess I'm going forward to that marker about 70. Going forward about 74 yards. Alright, let's release the brake. And reverser is already in forward. Let's get a little power. Power off. We don't want to low the speed limit here. Alright. Looks like we're clear. Alright. So another training mission down. Alright. So I think that's 3 down. I think we have 2 to go in the training, the basic training. But before we go any further, I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Alright folks, and I'm back. And so we're going to proceed forward with the next tutorial.
Refueling is an important part of keeping a locomotive running, so let's go over how we do it. A refueling stand consists of 2 components: the hose, which connects to the locomotive, and the pump activation control. A locomotive is already stopped in the right place. Walk over and remove the fuel cap. Now, go and pick up the fuel hose. Take it over to the locomotive and attach the hose to the fuel tank. Return to the fuel stand and activate the refueling pump. The system will automatically switch off once the tank is full. You can see the state of refueling by observing the indicator on the side of the fuel tank. Pick up the hose and put it back on the fuel stand. Then replace the fuel tank cap.
Alright, that was kind of glitchy. Did you guys see that? I mean, I had already put the fuel hose back on the stand. It told me to pick it up and replace it again, so... yeah. Bugs for the devs to work on. Alright, so... That's a really, really, really simple tutorial. Let's roll right to the next one.
This is where you'll learn all about train brakes and how they work. On this locomotive, there are 3 braking systems available to the engineer. Dynamic, auto, and independent. Dynamic brakes work by reversing the polarity of the traction motors. When a train is moving, this action causes resistance against the turning axles. As this system only works when the axles are turning, this means the dynamic brake cannot stop a train, only slow it down. Train or auto brakes work by controlling air pressure in a brake pipe that runs the entire length of the train. This pipe connects to brake cylinders located on each individual car. In turn, these cylinders push directly onto the wheels to slow them down. Locomotive or independent brakes are similar in operation to the auto brake. However, this brake only affects the locomotive itself, not the entire train. The independent brake is used when switching cars in a yard, or for holding a stopped train on level or low grade. When the auto brake is applied, it directly affects something called the equalizing reservoir. Think of this readout as the target pressure for the air-controlled brakes on the train. Next to it is the brake pipe pressure. This indicates the overall brake pressure along the train. So, as the engineer, you set a desired pressure via the equalizing reservoir, and then the brake system will react to match this target. Perform a brake application on this train of 20 cars to see this process in action.
It says we have 20 cars, but I can't see
Using the
behind
auto
us.
brake, reduce the equalizing reservoir.
So
Watch
take
for the
your word
brake
for it,
pipe
buddy.
pressure indication to change, matching this reduction, and applying the brakes on the train.
All right. So auto brake to full service. Ready?
Now let's see this same process on a much larger train. Head over to the adjacent locomotive and climb into the cab.
I've been through this tutorial a couple times just to try to understand the theory that they're trying to impart to us. I mean, the idea is that we have 3 different braking systems for 3 different purposes. And I think I kind of get what each braking system is supposed to be for, but I'm not sure that the tutorial itself, the explanation is as clear as it could be. There might be some feedback, at some point we can give to the devs, or somebody can. Let's just go with this next part and let's see. Hopefully it makes more sense to one of you than it does to me.
This train has 100 cars. Let's see what difference this has on the reaction speed of the brakes. Repeat the equalizing reservoir reduction from before, again using the auto brake. Watch how long it now takes for the brake pipe pressure to match. The skill of the engineer is knowing when to start braking.
Okay, so again, we're going to apply the automatic brake to full service. And I think what he's trying to tell us to do is watch the response on this display here. But, well, we'll see what happens.
Now that we have seen the brakes apply, let's see how long it takes to release them.
Well, in the application, I didn't see much
Using the
difference.
auto brake, set the equalizing reservoir back to its previous position.
So the previous position was release. So I think I can do this with hotkeys. Let me do that while I'm actually looking at the display here and see if I can tell the difference. Because I really don't know right now.
This action triggers the brake.
Okay, so that's another issue with that specific tutorial. I mean, he obviously wanted to tell us something at the very end there, but he gets cut off every time. And we just rush right into the mission summary, and we never get to hear the rest of what he had to say. So, I don't know. I mean, if anybody from, the devs ever sees my VOD, I mean, I don't know. I think you guys have a bug there you need to fix. But, and it's just not clear to me what we're supposed to learn here, other than the fact that we have 3 braking systems. So, I don't know. I mean, kind of what I get out of it is, our main brake that we use is the auto brake. I mean, that's kind of like, that's the one that operates all the brakes on all the trains that you're pulling at the same time. But then we have kind of what's it called? An independent brake. I think of that kind of as a parking brake in your car. And then the other brake, the dynamic brake, sounds to me like, I don't know, if you're a person who drives a stick shift, you understand what downshifting does in the car without even using the brakes. It kind of, provides engine braking and slows you down. So to me, that's maybe what dynamic braking is. But, they don't explain that. But that's kind of how I take it. And I'm not sure I'm getting everything I'm supposed to out of this tutorial. But let's roll to the next one. And I want to say hello there, Claire.
Co-loading is a
Claire,
common
whole bunch of
occurrence on
numbers behind your
sandpatch
name.
grade, so we better take a look at how to do it.
And welcome to the stream.
To engage the loading process, the train must be moving at a constant rate and not exceeding the speed limit. In order to move the train very slowly, this locomotive is fitted with speed control. This is located on the integrated function display.
Okay, so alright, so you can use the arrow keys to kind of magnify into these displays, which is handy. But right now they want us to focus on this display. And if we right click, now we get access to the actual control interface for this display. So we're supposed to use this system to set our target speed here at 5 miles an hour. Oh, to 2 miles per hour. We're currently set at 5. And now I didn't get this the first time I came through this. I actually was embarrassed. I had to read the forum to figure out what I was doing wrong. But these control buttons correspond to the display icons for the different controls here on the display. So basically they want us to press this button corresponding to this 1 mile per hour reduction until we get our target speed down to the 2 mile per hour target. So let's try that. You see now we're down to 4, 3, and then 2. And then we're supposed to engage the system by flipping this on-off control. And I know this sounds like really rudimentary probably to anybody who looked at this, but to me, for whatever reason, it just was not obvious. I mean, I'm clicking on the buttons here, and I thought these F keys were the PF keys on my keyboard, which that didn't work either. So, like I said, I actually had to get some help with this, but maybe this will help somebody else who watches and decides to play this on their own.
We're now ready to move under the coal loader ahead, so get the train moving. As we have set the slow speed control, it does not matter what throttle position is used, the locomotive will only travel at the indicated speed.
Sorry, right arrow got us back to this perspective, but again, you can kind of use the arrow keys on your keyboard, left arrow, to kind of toggle through the different display stations, including outside the windows of the cabin. So that's kind of handy. And right arrow takes you the opposite direction. Alright, so now we have to bring the locomotive up to speed. So let's engage, let's see, our tutorial's still on rails, so we have to do this in specific order. So first the reverser goes to forward. And see, I can't touch the other ones until they prompt me, at least in the tutorial. So power handle idle goes to what? 1. One normally gets us rolling. That didn't seem to work. Let's try the next one too. And release the, okay, now we get the brake prompt. And put the brake back to release. Alright, now we're starting to roll. So we're at 1 miles per hour. We're actually 2.5.
When the train is within range, the loader will activate and a notification will appear.
Now that's kind of odd because our target speed is set to 2, but we're already kind of doing in excess of 3 miles per hour. So that didn't work exactly as it said, but okay. And why don't we take a look from the outside, one of the outside cameras.
The process of loading the cars is completely automated. As each car passes under the chute, the loader will dispense coal until it is full. This will continue until all the cars are loaded. With the train under semi-automatic control, you can watch the loading process from an external camera.
Already ahead of you, buddy. So that's pretty cool. I mean, look at that. Even the loading on this is fully automated. That is very impressive. Now, like I said in the beginning of the stream, this game is actually releasing on Tuesday on consoles, both Xbox One and PS4. But this has been on PC for a while. And it's very hard for me to imagine that even the top-end consoles are going to be able to reproduce this much detail. And it's got good sound.
To bring the train to a halt,
just a lot of fidelity.
return the throttle
really
handle to
impressive.
idle, and on the integrated function display, press slow speed control off. Now bring the train to a stop.
Alright, so we're going to throttle back. Idle throttle. Back to the display. Activate the mouse interface and system off. And now we want to stop our train. So we're going to apply our automatic brake. We'll just use minimum reduction. And that's it. Okay. So even though I've been through some of these tutorials before, I mean, there's a lot to kind of pick up, and going back through it a second time is kind of helping me to contextualize and retain more of it. All right. So let's see what they have for us next. Oh, we're actually done with the tutorials. This is our first live exercise.
So, you're the rookie they've given me the task of showing around. Well, in my view, there's no better way to learn than on the job, so you can take the engineer's seat for this run.
Okay, so we're done with the basic tutorials. I believe there's actually a couple more tutorials that you can manually select, but out of the automatic progressions that they give you, those were the basics. We already covered those. And this is the first mission. Basically, they refer to them as, I think, scenarios. See how this goes. So basically we're just starting out initially with a 2-car train, and see what happens.
Before we reach the end of the yard, I'll contact the dispatcher for permission to head out to Hindman. Set the locomotive up and we'll get going when you're ready.
Alright, before we proceed, I'm going to take a quick look at the... when you hit escape, you can get, at any time, a pause menu that includes kind of what they call the task log, what your objectives are supposed to be for that exercise or that mission. So... from what I understand, we're supposed to take this train out to a location called Hindman. One of the other things you get is a map. So let's take a look at the map. So this is where we are. And I believe... well, the map doesn't show yet what our ultimate destination is, but Hindman's a good way in this direction up the track. All right, let's exit the map. I think it'll show up a little bit later. Alright, so right now they want us to engage our headlights. Let's do that. Turn on the ditch engage lights and turn the front headlights to bright. We'll get the headlights already. Okay. So here's the ditch light. Turn that on. The gauge light. That's kind of hard to grab because our dynamic brake handle is like right in the way. Alright, now we got that. Alright, set the reverser to forward. They specifically want us to use the hotkey, which is W, so let's try that. First, let's check out the controls. This is automatic brake is an initial reduction. Throttle doesn't see what the throttle is. Hopefully it's in idle. Alright, let's move the neutral, reversal to forward. Alright. Brake to release. Alright, sound the horn twice. We can do that with either this handle or a space bar.
This is X551 requesting a track warrant from Cumberland Terminal to Hyman. Over.
X551, subject to signal indications. Proceed from Cumberland Terminal as far as Cumberland Station. Wait there for eastbound Q116 to pass. Then proceed to Hyman. Over.
X551, subject to signal indications, proceeding from Cumberland Terminal to Cumberland Station. Await passage of eastbound Q116, then proceed to Hyman. Out.
Okay. So we already switched off the automatic brake. Now we have to switch the independent brake off. Dynamic brake's already off. Throttle's at idle. Independent brake is released. Throttle up. And we are rolling. Alright, I'm going to turn the throttle off. I think the momentum will keep us carried forward. Excuse me. Like I said before, I think that red indicator on the arc of our speedometer there is our indicated speed limit. That looks like about 15 miles an hour. So let's try to stay below that. Yeah, we're at 10 now. Let's get up to speed a little bit. Throttle back. 15 miles an hour is our limit. And let's see, can we see where our next objective is? So another 1.2 miles it looks like to our next objective. I guess up and around this bend here. Try to keep our speed up, close to the speed limit. On the speed limit right now. That guy looks comfy. Amazing how he talks to me with his mouth never moving. So we're right at 15 miles an hour, dead on the speed limit. And we've got another 1.1 miles to go to our next location stop. Speed's coming down a little bit. Let's get a little more power, try to stay close to the speed limit. So coming up just inside of a mile to our stop location. look at that. We got another train passing us. Give him a quick toot-toot. Wow, that's a much longer train than ours. Look at that. Because that's the big boy train. Well, they're long before we get that much responsibility. We'll give it a little more power, try to keep our speed up. We're approaching half a mile to our next checkpoint. Whoa. Alright, we are way over the speed limit. Alright, and that's why I don't want to get this big boy train as well. Alright, no harm, no foul. We're still rolling. A little bit more speed, 700 yards to our stop. We're going to nudge it up closer to 15 miles per hour again. Man, that train is still rolling. Look at that. That is a long train. My God. Alright, 500 yards to target. Let me add a little bit more power. We've been losing a lot of speed. Distracted by this train passing us here. I better pay attention to what I'm doing. Yards. I'm over the speed limit. Back under the speed limit. Try to keep our speed up a little bit. 200 yards. Throttles at idle. And we're ready on the brake. 200 yards to stop. A little bit more power. Keep our momentum. Outside of 100 yards, or just outside of 100 yards. Alright, now we stop. 50 yards. Alright, then start adding initial reduction and we get our stop.
This is X551. We're ready to head to Hindman. Over.
Alright folks, I'm going to have to take a quick break. Looks like I'm getting a call from work here. That's never a good thing. And I'll be back in a couple minutes. Let me check this out. Alright folks, unfortunately we got some bad news. I got a call from work. And even though I'm not on call this weekend, the guy who is having a pretty hard time with something he's supposed to be doing. So unfortunately, you know, work comes first, even though I wasn't expecting to be interrupted in the middle of the stream. But we're going to have to cancel the mission at this point. Unfortunately, it was our very first live mission post-training, so I'm a little disappointed at that. And we're going to have to end the stream here, and so I can log on and to work and figure out how to get my partner there straightened out. So I want to say thank you to the people who tuned into my stream today. Hopefully you found something intriguing to enjoy here. We are probably going to be doing some more streaming in the very near future with Train Sim World. I'm enjoying it. I kind of joke and call this an old man game. It's a good old man game. I'm an old man. So, these are the type of things I enjoy these days, and hopefully somebody else will too. And if you do, please follow me and look for my next stream. So again, thanks to people who did drop in, all the lurkers. Hello there, is that King Bro? It looks like King Bro. Your question is, first, hello to you. Your question is, do I have a PlayStation? No, I'm actually an Xbox owner. But this particular game that I was streaming today, Train Sim World, I'm playing this on the PC version, which has been out, I think, since last fall. But there will be a version of this for PlayStation released on Tuesday. It's coming out for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. But I have it for PC. So again, unfortunately I have to cut this thing short because I gotta dial into work, and hopefully I will be able to, once I get the work problem straightened out, pick up where we left off with a little bit more streaming later today if nothing else kind of gets in the way. So again, folks, thanks for joining us. I'm Kojo62, and I'll see you again next time. All right, good evening. So we are back on stream with some more Train Sim World. We've been streaming a little earlier this afternoon, proceeding with our first look at a game. But unfortunately we got interrupted just as we were kind of getting to the good part, so to speak. We were proceeding with our first training mission, or our first live mission after completing training. And at that point, just as I was starting that mission, I got, unfortunately, an important phone call from work, and I had to take that. Had one of my coworkers in trouble, trying to get some weekend maintenance done, so I had to end the stream early and try to help him wrap that up. So we're going to try to pick up where we left off and proceed with our first mission, or what they call in the game scenarios. So our very first scenario here, a helping hand. Let's take a look at that. Description for that says, is your first day on the job. Some cars were recently taken out of a westbound train due to faulty brake hose not detected before departure. The cars have been repaired on site at Hindman, and they need to be returned to Cumberland for insertion into another train. Okay, so, scenarios are, I guess, kind of single-player missions. This is the very first one on the list, and I believe what we're looking at here on the list is that I assume these bars at the bottom, these blocks at the bottom, indicate degree of difficulty, in which case this only shows like difficulty 1. And I believe this number in the middle here indicates expected duration. So they're saying about a 60-minute job and low degree of difficulty. So sounds about perfect for a noob engineer in his first day out of training, which is exactly what I am. Alright, so let's get that started and see how we make out. Hopefully get a little further this time than we did with our earlier stream. And no more work calls.
rookie they've given me the task of showing around. Well, in my view, there's no better way to learn than on the job, so you can take the engineer's seat for this run.
Before we reach the end of the yard, I'll contact the dispatcher for permission to head out to Hindman. Set the locomotive up and we'll get going when you're ready.
Alright, so proceeding with setup. First we're turning the headlights on. And I'm supposed to turn on the ditch and gauge lights. I have no idea what... Well, I think I know what the gauge lights are. That's our instrumentation. I have no idea what a ditch is. What's a ditch on a train? If anybody knows, let me know. Alright, so we turn that on. And the gauge light is here. Very small hotspot right above our dynamic brake hotspot. Alright, so that's up. So now we will set the reverser to forward. Reverser is currently in neutral. Brake is still set, so we shouldn't move. And now we set the brake to release. Alright, here. Our independent brake is still set though. It's kind of like our parking brake. 2 blasts of the horn they want.
This is X551 requesting a track warrant from Cumberland Terminal to Hindman. Over.
X551, subject to signal indications. Proceed from Cumberland Terminal as far as Cumberland Station. Wait there for eastbound Q116 to pass. Then proceed to Hindman. Over.
X551, subject to signal indications, proceeding from Cumberland Terminal to Cumberland Station. Await passage of eastbound Q116, then proceed to Hindman. Out.
Alright, so now we're done with all that radio word salad. Let's finish setting up for motion here. So our throttle's at idle. Reverser is set to forward. The automatic brake is at release, but we still have to set the independent brake to release. And dynamic brake is off, so this is our last braking mechanism. Let's move that. So now independent brake is off. So we should be free for forward motion by engaging the little throttle. So we'll give it just throttle 1. And we're accelerating forward. I'm going to turn the throttle back to idle. And our forward momentum should keep us rolling. Give it a little more power. Try to accelerate. Looks like our speed limit is indicated to be about... looks like 15 miles an hour. And that's kind of a little red mark that's on our speedometer indicated on the HUD. We're going to add a little more power to keep forward momentum. Try to get closer to our 15 mile an hour target. Alright. So we are rolling. Looks like our first checkpoint is about 1.2 miles away. That's kind of up and around this right-hand bend there, it looks like. again, this is my first live mission. Up to this point, only thing I've really done is kind of go through all the training missions that they provide. And I think this is designed to be a very easy mission. But still, you know, kind of as a noob engineer, there's still a lot to remember. You know, there's a lot of systems here. I mean, I think I kind of understand what our main systems are and what I have to watch as a priority to keep us operating safely. But, you know, I still mess up a lot. But I'm learning. Alright, so we're about 1 mile out from our first checkpoint. We're doing 13 miles an hour, still under the speed limit of 15, doing pretty good there. Trying to keep our speed up. Seem to be dragging a little bit. I'm not sure why. Okay, we're right at 15 miles per hour now, which is good. I don't think, from what I can see on the HUD, we're at a flat level grade. That's kind of that upper bubble on the left-hand side that shows 0.0%. That indicates that we're on a flat grade. So, I guess the only speed losses we're getting at this point are just, you know, friction losses from the train itself. So, 0.8 miles to our first checkpoint. 0.7 miles. Oh, look at that. We got another train coming up in the opposite direction here. Take a look at this guy as he goes by. Give him a quick toot of the horn. Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool. So we saw him when we attempted this mission the first time through our last aborted mission. And that's a really long train. I can't even remember how far it went until we saw the end of it. That's what I call a big boy train. You know, we're not ready for that yet. That's a lot of responsibility, but you know, we'll get there. Let's take a look from the outside. This is a really nice. I mean, there's a lot of detail here. There's good frame rate. A lot of rendering on the, not just the trains, but the, you know, the countrysides, the buildings, the plants. I mean, this is really nice. Good sound too. I don't know. I'm very impressed with this sim so far. I've only had it a few days. This has been out since the fall for PC. We're playing this on PC. And this is coming out on consoles. This will be released for PS4 and Xbox this Tuesday, July 24th. So this is new to me. There may be a lot of sim players who've had this since its fall release. But, you know, I'm an Xbox owner, but when I became aware of this, which was just this past week, I mean, I still felt PC would be the way to go for me. Alright, so we're having to apply a little bit more power to keep our forward momentum. And it looks like from our grade indicator, we're slowly rolling uphill now. So I don't want to gain too much speed. I do want to keep our momentum going uphill against the grade. But we're only 200 yards from our first checkpoint. I think we're supposed to go there and stop, I believe. So we don't need too much more speed, just need to close the last 150 yards now and then bring this thing to a stop. Oh, it looks like our train ended. Alright. Give a quick horn. Just in case anybody else is hanging out at the place where we need to stop. Oh, no wonder I was losing so much energy. I was dragging brake. My bad. Alright, let's start applying brake now. Alright, we're at
This
stop.
is X551. We're ready to head to Hindman. Over.
X551. Subject to signal indications. Proceed to Hindman. Over.
X551, subject to signal indications, proceeding to Hindman. Out.
Alright, so we are ready to proceed. Head toward the next checkpoint, the Narrows. So let's check our controls. Automatic brake is at service. Reverser is still set to forward. Throttle is at idle. So let's release the automatic brake. And throttle up. Alright, throttle back to idle. We're going to build a little speed slowly but surely. But we don't want to exceed our 15 mile per hour speed limit. According to the HUD, we're working on a 0.5% uphill grade. So we're going to have to watch our power. Make sure we maintain forward momentum uphill. We're heading into a crossing here. Guess it would be a responsible thing for me to do to blow the whistle as we cross. Alright. So we're looking at another signal ahead, about 300 yards. I'm assuming that means we're approaching another crossing. Yeah, I can see a signal there. Get a little more power, we're slowing down too much. Still at the 0.5% uphill grade. Put a little more power. Try to keep this thing close to the speed limit as possible without blowing past it, obviously. Alright, 100 yards to our next signal. Still a 15 mile per hour zone. Looks like we're approaching 25 though. And we have a green signal here. Alright. Let's pick up a little bit more speed. 80 yards to a 25 mile per hour zone. $30 yards, 20 yards, 10 yards. But now we have a 20 mile per hour indication. That's kind of counterproductive. Well, let's see what happens here. We're still under 20. We should be in good shape. Alright, but it looks like we're going back to 25. And hopefully we get to really open this sucker up at some point soon. Oh, another crossing. And... Alright, the speed limit is up again. Alright, so we're at 20, we're permitted 25 now. A little more power, maintain momentum. Looks like we're in a downhill grade now. I have to watch my speed. 0.7% downhill grade. Another crossing coming up. Guess we get a lot of crossings in these small towns. Add a little bit more brake. Try to... Oh, okay, we just transitioned back to an uphill grade. Another crossing coming up. And our next checkpoint is about 700 yards ahead. Still in a 25 zone. We're losing a little bit more speed. Another crossing. Let's try to keep our speed up a little better. We gotta do a better job of that. Still losing speed. Did I forget something? Let's see. Brake to release. Independent brake release. Dynamic brake is wrong. Oh, I had my dynamic brake set wrong. Hang on a second. Alright, there we go. That's where our energy loss was. The dynamic brake was dragging us down. So let's pick up some speed. 400 yards to our next checkpoint. Let's open it up a little bit more. Let's see. We're still losing speed. I think I broke it. Let's see. Tell you what, let's bring it to a halt. Let's check out what we're doing here. So auto brake is at initial reduction. Independent brake is at release. Dynamic brake is totally off. Reverser. Forward. We're in an uphill grade. Only 0.3%. Hey, Dark Deadly there. How you doing, man? How's it going? Oh, it's going. I'm trying to make it go anyway. We're on our first mission here. First time taking the train out, and I think we are no bueno. I think I just broke my engine, man. So, what are we missing here? So, let me look at my controls. My brakes are off now. Brake is totally off now. Okay. Throttle to 1. Yeah, we're kind of rolling. Oh, look at that. We're rolling backwards. I'm doing okay, man. Thanks for asking. I'm trying to learn this new train sim here. Yeah, we're still rolling backwards. How about you, Dark Deadly? Do you play this or anything in this genre? Kind of, the railroad simulators? All right, I'm going to grab some brake here. We need to come to a stop. Yeah, I think I blew my engine. I think my problem is now that we cannot apply power anymore because I think I was running my engine at a positive throttle setting at the same time I had dynamic brake applied. And I think between those two things, I think I broke my engine. So I think we foobarred this mission here. I think we're screwed. I'm going to have to restart. Let me give it one more try. So let me release my automatic brake here. Back to release. Okay. Dynamic brake is off. Independent brake is on release. Let's add some throttle. Now with this, I should be going forward. But I'm not. I'm still drifting backwards. I shouldn't even be drifting backwards, as far as I can tell from... Oh, cool. Yeah. I kind of just found out about this game this week, Deadly. And I did hear that, it's releasing for the consoles on Tuesday. But we got this for PC. I only bought it Friday, actually. Yeah, scenario failed. Okay. Yeah, so we're playing this on PC. And, I'm still learning. I do own an Xbox One. So I probably could have got it for that, but I figure with all the expansions and things that this developer usually releases for their games, that I'd probably be better in the long run for getting this on PC. All right, so I believe it looks like we have a checkpoint to go back to. We don't have to start from scratch. So let's see how far back our checkpoint throws us and try that again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I broke the engine there. All right. Let's see where we are. All right, I believe this set us back to our first checkpoint. Let me check our task log. Actually, let me look at the map. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Dudley. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I have faith that I'll get there, but this is a very detailed sim. There's a lot to learn, a lot to manage. There's a lot going on. So, I'm making mistakes, but we all learn from our mistakes, right? All right. So, this is our current position. Now, normally when you go into the pause menu, you have access to what your objectives are here. And I don't see anything at the moment. So that's kind of odd. And the other thing I noticed, let me check, make sure we're at brake. Yeah, brakes are engaged. Throttle is idle. All right, let me get up for a second. Our second man is gone. Look at that. He just disappeared. I guess he was so disgusted at how we failed the mission there. I guess he just ditched me. He's like, hey, forget you, dude. You're a noob. I'm out of here. I got better things to do than babysit you. So that's kind of lame. But I don't know. I'm guessing maybe that's a bug. That's something. Maybe, I'll send some feedback to developers, and maybe that's something that that's not intended. I would think not. I mean, you shouldn't, leave your guy by himself just because he made a mistake. All right, anyway, so let's see if we can proceed from here and salvage our mission. All right, so I know from here I'm supposed to go forward, so let's just disengage the brake, set that to release. Reverse is still in forward, and let's give it a little throttle. All right, so we're moving forward. Better than last time. Take the throttle off. I don't want to blow past the speed limit. So we're holding just below speed limit of 15. Give it a little more throttle. Try to keep that speed up. See if we can make up some time. Because we definitely lost some time screwing up that checkpoint. Slight uphill grade, 0.5% uphill. Whistle as we go through this railroad crossing. have no idea what town this is actually supposed to be. But it's nicely modeled. Not too many people walking the street, but looks nice. Whoa. So I am exceeding the speed limit. Let me add a little brake. Get us back down. Back down speed limit of 15. So we have a green signal ahead, 80 yards. A little more power now. Keep our momentum up. We're in a downhill grade now, so let's turn the power off. So we're approaching 25 again. All right. All right, still 20, and then I guess we'll get to 25 again after that. Double check my brakes. All right, we're okay. Speed limit is up again. Well, up ahead. Another crossing. And there's a 25 limit indicator. Let's throttle up. So we're again on a slight downhill grade. Another crossing ahead, looks like. Alright, transition back to a slight uphill grade. Another crossing ahead. So, Dark Deadly, have you played any other train sims? Anything else like this? Alright, give me a little more power, try to get up to closer to our limit. Microsoft Train Simulator. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I just got into this genre myself, and the very first one, a long time ago. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, when I started looking into this game, and I kind of started doing a little research on all the different games in this genre. I believe, isn't this the same developer that had originally developed Microsoft's Train Sim, even though they're independent now? Because they did Train Simulator, well, they currently still do Train Simulator, I believe, and now they're doing this Train Sim World on a new engine using Unreal 4, right? So I think they had originally done the first Microsoft Train Simulators also, but I could be wrong. Oh, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't have on-stream notifications set up for followers or anything like that yet, but thank you. I appreciate that very much. Alright, so we're on a flat grade now. Still trying to stay below the 25 mile per hour speed limit. And I'm using hotkeys. It's kind of hard to watch all your signals ahead and then also dip your head into the cockpit, the dashboard here, and at the same time. So it seems to me, you know, still learning this stuff. Hotkeys are critical. Alright, so 0.6 of a mile to our next speed limit. And at that point, looks like we'll be transitioning to 35. Woohoo! So we should be able to roll pretty good there. 900 yards to that. Alright, Doug Dudley, I hear you, man. Yeah, I appreciate you dropping in, and you know, thanks for the follow, and I hope I see you again sometime. Appreciate it. Alright, so we are working on a flat level grade at the moment, and 500 yards to our next speed limit transition, which will be 35, but currently we're still in the 25 zone. And just trying to watch, make sure we're operating safely and we don't screw ourselves up too bad. Alright, coming up on 100 yards to our next speed limit marker. Let's get a little more power. Working uphill now. And I believe as soon as the rear end of my train clears that marker now, yeah, now we get the indication for 35. And within another just under 2 miles, we'll be able to go up to 50. So let's give it some more throttle. Still working uphill, so I probably need to maintain just a little bit of throttle to keep forward, keep energy to continue to climb this hill. Let's see, do we have a crossing there? Oh no, it's just a creek.
Subject to signal indication.
All right.
Proceed to Hyndman. Over.
X551, subject to signal indications, proceeding to Hyndman. Out. This
All right.
is the Cumberland Narrows. It's crazy that just the Wills Creek carved it out. Lucky for us it did, though. Otherwise, it would have added another 10 miles to the line if we had to go around these hills via Crescenttown. Plenty of floods come through here in the fall. Strong enough to wash away road and rail. Although, things have improved over the years, mind. Now the creek runs in a concrete box, but it still breaks free now and again.
Alright, so despite the fact that our second man disappeared when we had to go back to our last checkpoint, seems like he's still giving me, you know, coaching from somewhere. I don't know where, but okay. And he's also handling the radio calls. Better him than me. I got my hands full just figuring out how to keep driving this thing safely. Alright, so looks like we have a signal ahead, 600 yards, and our next checkpoint is Ellerslie in about 1 mile. So we're still a bit too far below the speed limit for me. I want to pick up speed a little bit more. 200 yards to our next signal. Looks like a crossing. Alright. A little more power. I want to try to hold our speed here. Let's give it a toot-toot at the crossing. And there's a great big old tanker train going by. Big sucker. Long sucker. Alright. So, let's see. 400 yards to our next speed indicator. Looks like at that point we'll get the go-ahead for 50 miles an hour. But right now we're still restricted to 35. We're going flat grade, no grade, flat level surface. Give some more power. Alright, so we're just below 35. We're about to transition to 50. And okay, there's a speed limit indicator for 50. And now we can open up a little more. Let's do that. 200 yards to our next checkpoint, which is Ellerslie.
Up ahead, we'll pass through the town of Ellerslie. Not much of note, but this run up from the Narrows to Hindman is our last chance to be sure about the train brakes before beginning the climb to Sandpatch Summit. Coming down can be just as treacherous. After the twists of Glencoe and Fairhope, you'll be glad to see straight at Hindman. Don't get too comfy, though. Too much speed, and the curve at Corriganville will have you in the dirt in no time.
Alright. So we are flat surface, no grade currently. I'm trying to get closer to our speed limit of 50 though. We're dragging ass just a little bit. Let's try to give it some more throttle, get closer to that limit. Alright, 900 yards to the next speed limit checkpoint. 2.4 miles to Cook Mills. So we're still in a 50 zone. 100 yards ahead looks like a signal. Signal's green currently, I believe, is what that's telling me. Alright. So we're still in a 50, 800 yards to the next speed marker. 1.6 miles to Cook Mills. Working uphill, 0.4% grade. Another crossing. Alright, make sure we stay under our speed limit here. 50 miles an hour. Alright, a little more power. Try to stay close to that limit. Not to blow past it, but I want to stay close to it. I'm sure the railroad wants me to operate safely, but I'm sure they want me to get there as fast as possible and get back with their cargo. Time is money, after all, right? Alright. One more power, try to get back closer to 50. Alright, 1.7 miles to our next signal. Looks like. Still slight uphill grade. Let me give it a little more power. Alright, first time we actually hit the speed limit dead on. Still going uphill, so should be okay not to go past it. 300 yards to our next checkpoint. Slow down a little bit, take a little bit of power out. We're not indicated to stop, so we should be able to just drive right through this, okay?
You're running great so far. Keep it up.
So far so good. Not bad for a noob. Where did that guy go? Honestly, where did that guy go? Small crossing there. Man, that looked like a horse crossing or something. That was a really small crossing. There's another one ahead, I think. Well, they're almost like footpaths, it looks like. Those really small crossings like that. Alright, give a little more power. Still going uphill. Let's try to maintain close to 50 miles an hour if we can. As close as we can. I mean, I don't really know what happens if we go, much past 50. I'm guessing we're just going to fail the mission like we did on that earlier checkpoint. One more power, please. A lot of crossings through here. A lot of small crossings. Bridge coming up here, it looks like. Oh, look at that nice creek. Like I said, I don't know specifically where we are. Got a mile to our next checkpoint at Willis Creek. You know what? Let me tab out. We, at the pause menu, get a map available to us. I'm just curious to see what's on the map. I mean, these maps don't have a lot of detail. I mean, they kind of give you relative position, it looks like, to each of your checkpoints, but I mean, seriously, that's just not a lot of detail. I mean, I would like to see the devs add more, maybe a legend here, maybe a scale. I mean, I assume I'm looking north. I mean, but there's just not much here. There's a lot more they could add to these maps to make them more useful to us. But anyway. I mean, that's just a small nitpick with the sim. There's a lot of impressive features in this game. I mean, the sound, the graphics are just really impressive. They really are. And again, I'm playing on PC, so this is coming out for the consoles this week. On Tuesday, the 24th. So, I did see the devs do a live stream over the weekend. I think it was either Friday or Saturday morning. Probably Friday. And what I saw was just as impressive as what I'm experiencing here. So, they obviously did a pretty incredible job on the console port. But I am going to be curious to watch some console streams just to see, if anything, is lost.
You've no doubt noticed we share a lot of trackside with Wills Creek over Sandpatch Grade. These hills don't leave much room for the railroad to squeeze past.
Alright, so we got a green signal ahead, 300 yards. Still working uphill. We got another train coming. Look at that. sure I keep my speed up a little bit. I'm trying to get this run done as soon as I can. So we got a yellow signal up ahead, about a mile. I'm still not perfectly clear on how to handle a yellow signal, what the proper approach to that is. Am I supposed to slow down and make preparation to stop, or is there a minimum speed I'm allowed to go through a yellow signal at? So see, we're going uphill. Let me just take the throttle out to idle completely. 0.8 of a mile. So the uphill grade should bleed speed off of us. And I guess we should be prepared to stop. I mean, we're still carrying a lot of speed, 40 miles an hour. So about half a mile here. I guess we just approach cautiously and see what happens. Give it a little more power. I think I'll try to keep it under 30. There's another crossing. Of course, I never find anything at those crossings, but... So let's see, we're doing 30 now, just about 300 yards to the yellow signal. Let me add a little bit of brake. I'll go to initial reduction. I want to see if I can get it below 25, just in case. I mean, I don't know. I assume what, the signals can flip to red, and I have to be prepared to stop. I would think, just like a street signal. I don't know. There was no training on that. All right, still yellow. Speed limit still 50. Let's crank it back up. So, I don't know. Let's get a lot more power. Try to get back to 50 here. 1.1 miles. 1 miles now. Oh, to Hindman. That's our destination. So we're almost there. More power, try to get close to 50. More power, more power. Still at an uphill grade, but throttle 5 seems to be getting us where we need to go. 600 yards. Another crossing here. Speed down under 50, 800 yards to Hindman. That's really nice. That really does look terrific. Not a lot of in the way of people being here.
This is X551 approaching Hindman. Requesting permission to stop and run back into the siding in Hindman. Over.
X551, subject to signal indications. Stop and run back into the siding. Over.
X551, subject to signal indications, proceeding with stop and run back. Out.
All right. So 200 yards to our next signal. It's a yellow signal.
We're passing through Hindman. The siding should appear on the right-hand side shortly. It runs until just outside town. Stop beyond the switch and we'll run back into it and connect to the stopped cars.
Alright, so we got a stop coming up ahead. Looks like just inside a mile, 0.8 of a mile. We also are about to transition to a 25 mile per hour speed zone. I let a lot of speed off. But I think we're okay currently. Oh, that's pretty cool. Alright, 700 yards to our next speed location, so let me go throttle idle. Another crossing here. Let me bleed some more speed off. Add initial reduction, try to get below 25 miles per hour. So our throttle's at idle. Brake is release. We are below 25, way below 25. Let's pick it up a little bit. I think that's the train we're supposed to pick up, those cars there. But our stop is still another 600 yards ahead, roughly. So let me add some more power, but we're not going to exceed 25 through this stretch. We are comfortably below the speed limit, and we are 300 yards from our final stop, Hindman Switch. 200 yards now. And we should be prepared to stop at that marker. 100 yards. Alright, throttle is at idle. Let's start adding some brake. Let's go to initial reduction. And there's our marker. Slowing down, 12, 10. Alright, I think that's enough brake to stop us. And voila, we are stopped. I'm going to put that into full service and lock us in the position here. Throttle's idle, and we're here. So let's see, I'm not getting any prompt. Maybe we rolled too far? I think we did. I think we rolled too far. I guess we were supposed to stop right on the marker as close as possible, and we're like 60 yards past it. Alright. So, let's change to the reverser. Switch us into reverse. Alright, let's release the automatic brake. Alright. Independent brake is in release. Dynamic brake is off. Let's add a little bit of reverse throttle. Let's turn that off. Add a little bit of automatic brake. Alright. So I guess we hit the marker better that time. Alright. Full service brake, that's on. Let's put our reverser back to neutral temporarily. Throttle's at idle. Alright, I think we're okay. I'm tempted to set the independent brake because I think of that as a parking brake, but I think we're okay with what we have. So at this point, I'm supposed to do the track switch. Let me take a look at our task log to make sure we're what we're supposed to be doing. Alright, so we made the stop at the Hindman switch. And our next task is to set the switch to the correct track. Alright, yeah, because we have to switch tracks so that we can go back and pick up those freight cars that we passed just a minute ago, just behind us here. Alright, let me check the map. Alright, so yeah, we're right on our marker. GG to us. And I guess the switch is about right here. Yeah, the switch is marked on the map here. And the switch will take us to this track. And zooming out, I believe, yeah. Here is the 3 cars we're supposed to pick up. Just further down that outside right-hand track there. It's actually a pretty good haul. I mean, there's the other problem with this map is there's no sense of scale here, so I don't know exactly how far that is. I'd like to see the devs add a lot more detail to these maps. I mean, you know, add a little bit more of a legend, add a scale, you know, and make these a little bit more useful. Alright, so before we proceed with our next task, we're going to take a quick break, and I'll be back shortly. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in a minute. Alright, and we're back for my quick, much needed break. Alright, so we are approaching, hopefully, the end of this mission. Alright, so we are stopped at the Hindman switch. And at this point, we need to exit the train car and flip the switch. Okay, so the switch is currently set. If we came back this way, it would drive us to the right, which is the track that we came on. We want to flip the switch so that we go to the left, which is where our cargo is. Alright, so it appears that we did that correctly. And let's head back into the cabin, or the cab. You know, it's kind of too bad that, I mean, we're more or less running a two-headed train here. It's kind of too bad that we couldn't just climb into this thing and drive it from that end. But I guess there's too much setup involved with kind of reconfiguring the train to be commanded from one end versus the other. I'm guessing, you know, I don't know that much about trains. I'm not like really a hobbyist of them or anything, but I just started getting into train sims recently myself, so all this is new to me. Alright, so we now need to drive our train backwards. And it looks like, based on the gradient indicator, the grade indicator on our HUD, that we will actually be going downhill. It looks like a 1.4% downhill indication in that direction. So, first things first. First, let's see, automatic brake is in full service. The independent and dynamic brakes are set to off, so this is the only brake that we're working with right now. Let's first set the reverser to reverse. Leave the throttle at idle. Let's release the brake. Alright, so we're at initial reduction. I'm going to change my view here. And now I'm going to fully, using the hotkeys, release the auto brake. Alright, auto brake is at release. And let's give it, oh, I was going to say let's give it a little throttle, but we're already starting to roll downhill. We can nudge it with a little bit of throttle. I mean, our speed limit here is, looks like 10 miles an hour. So we got to be careful with that. Let's add a little bit more brake. Try to stay below 10 miles an hour. I'm actually going to switch my view, I think. Let's look out this side of the train, maybe. Yeah, we're 600 yards to where we need to be. May add a little bit more brake. Try to stay below 10 miles an hour. I mean, I'm not adding throttle at all. Yeah, I'm just going to manage this thing with the auto brake. A little more brake. Try to stay below 10 miles an hour. Too much brake. Just a little bit. Alright, 400 yards to our target. And we've switched tracks, so at least we're on the right track, so to speak, no pun intended. Alright. Losing a little bit too much speed now. 400 yards, almost there. So our speed limit here is 10 miles an hour, but from what we know from our training exercises, since we're doing a coupling maneuver, our coupling speed usually has to be below 5 miles an hour. So when we reach the train, the cargo train, cargo car is in about 300 yards now. We're going to make sure that we're below 5 miles an hour to couple safely. So keep an eye on that. $200 yards. A little more brake. A lot more brake. $180 yards now. Again, we're trying to couple at a speed below 5 miles an hour. Brake release, maintain momentum. Initial reduction. Get a little more throttle. We're losing too much energy. $120 yards now. Alright, we're below 5 miles an hour. Let's try to stay there. $90 yards. 80 yards. A little more brake. A little more brake. All right. All right. And now we want to park the locomotive. We want to stop going backwards, that's for sure. Take a little bit more brake. And throttles at idle. Reverser to neutral. And I'm going to take the extra step of setting the independent brake so that we're not going anywhere. And he wants to turn off the cabin lights. Isn't that cute? Alright. And any active lights. So that means our dashboard lights. And whatever the ditch light is. Does anybody know what a ditch light is? Or, I mean, I'm guessing that's some type of external light, but I have no idea what that actually is. Before heading back,
let's grab a bite to eat with the repair crew. That's them by the pickup truck.
Alrighty. So, alright. I think we accomplished that mission finally. And, Yeah, look at that. And we're done. Mission complete. Okay, we actually completed a live mission. First post-training mission. Alright, now... I don't know what... I mean, we got some kind of scoring here. I don't know what the scoring is actually relative to. I mean, it's... I mean, is this going to be some kind of in-game currency or something that we can buy upgrades with and stuff like that? I don't know what this actually means. But, I mean, it looks good. It looks like I did something right. Okay. And, that is it for that mission, so... Oh, so that took us a little bit over an hour. I think the mission was estimated to be 60 minutes. But, you know, I am a noob engineer after all, so it took me a little longer. Plus, I had one do-over. I kind of blew my responsibilities at the one checkpoint and had to start over. But it is kind of good to know that the game does give you automatic checkpoints. So it seems like each time on the route, when you pass one of those blue checkpoint markers, I think that's where the game is actually saving you a checkpoint, so that if you screw something up and you fail a mission, you have the option to go back to that as a previous checkpoint to start over. So I didn't expect that. That's a nice feature. I'm glad they built that in. Because, that was a 60-minute mission, and, that would have kind of been, unplayable if I would have had to go all the way back to the beginning of the mission. And, in addition to being unplayable, they've been totally unstreamable as well, so. Alright. So I have been streaming for just over an hour. I mean, we could roll into another scenario. Let's take a quick peek at it. So we completed our first one, this Helping Hand mission. Looks like our next mission is Clear Cut. That's rated for about 45 minutes, but I don't think I currently have 45 minutes to stream. Because it's kind of been a crappy weekend here weather-wise. I mean, it's been locally, raining and threatened thunder showers on and off all weekend. And even during my stream, I mean, I can hear right now it's completely raining cats and dogs. I hope it hasn't been picked up by this microphone. I doubt it. And it's been a while since I heard thunder and lightning. But I think I pushed my luck just about far enough trying to get through a stream and trying to finish off our objective from earlier. And no work calls this time. So I want to say thanks to the people who joined us today. Thanks for looking in on our stream. And see quite a few viewers out there still lurking. And say thanks to you guys. Lurkers are welcome here. Appreciate the eyeballs. And hopefully, it was worth your time. I mean, I'm enjoying this game. I think this is pretty incredible. And I think the console owners, PS4 and Xbox One, who are planning to pick this up this coming week, Tuesday, are in for a treat. And I'm going to be planning to do some more, not only future streaming of my own, but I'm going to be dropping in on quite a few of those console streams just to see, how well the dev ported this over. And I mean, but I'm pretty impressed. The dev, and my apologies because the name of the dev just slipped my mind, Dovetail Games. So kudos to Dovetail Games. I'm enjoying this. I'm having a good time, and I think a lot of people who picked this up for console Tuesday are going to have a good time as well. But as for now, I'm going to call this stream a wrap, and say thank you to everybody who spent time with me today. It's been a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it as well, and I hope I'll see you next time. Take care.